Life is a journey of twists and turns, peaks and valleys, mountains to climb, and oceans to explore. Take a second, just let that sink in. Whether you're riding high right now, totally in the flow, crushing your goals, or you're in one of those valleys, kind of wondering if you'll ever figure it all out, there's this one absolute constant. Life just keeps moving forward. No matter where you find yourself on this crazy ride, you are always moving on to the next chapter. But here's the catch, right? What no one ever bothers to tell you when you're young are all the hard truths and little, almost hidden realizations that just kind of sneak up on you as you grow up.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today in this explainer. We're going to take this massive, sometimes overwhelming list of 20 hard truths about life, and we're transforming it into a structured, manageable, and honestly, really fun journey of self-reflection. I am so pumped to walk you through this because, well, these are those profound life lessons that most folks just learn way too late in the game. But hey, not us. Today, we're accelerating that wisdom and we're tackling them head on. To keep things moving and really make this impactful, we've broken this explainer down into 4 main chapters. Reclaim your inner child, the reality of relationships, lifelong growth and habits, and finally, the ultimate purpose, you.
All right, let's jump right in. Chapter 1, Reclaim Your Inner Child. Think back for a second. As a wide-eyed kid, you were probably incredibly spontaneous, right? I mean, anything could happen at any given moment. And that spontaneousness, it's actually the sister of creativity. It leaves the door wide open for sudden discovery. But somewhere along the line, the average adult just trades that spontaneous discovery for these incredibly rigid routines. We disconnect from our inner child, we decide we just aren't creative, and honestly, we become kind of scared of our own imagination. And here's a massive warning straight from our source material. Society tends to control and stifle creative expression unless it's, profitable. So if you want to keep that creative muscle pumped up and active, you absolutely cannot rely on the world to do it for you. You've got to practice it yourself every single day.
So let me ask you, when was the last time you actually played in the rain? Or when did you last just sit on the sidewalk and look really closely at the cracks, the rocks, the dirt, or maybe that one weird weed stubbornly growing right through the concrete? As we age, we totally forget the value of touch and the power of just slowing down. We're urging you to do this again. Reconnect with that tactile, hands-on playfulness of life. Because look, if you don't reconnect with that inner spark, you run headfirst into this pretty tragic reality. Most people simply don't do what they love. It's sad, but it's true. The masses fail to live the lives they always dreamed of, and the reason is actually shockingly simple. They just didn't fight hard enough. They didn't make it happen. The older you get and the more you look around at adults just completely stuck in rigid routines, the easier it is to believe that you're destined to end up exactly the same way. Seriously, do not fall for that trap.
Moving right along to Chapter 2, The Reality of Relationships.
All right, we need to squarely face 4 pretty sobering realities about human connection. Number 1, while some folks might support you, nobody cares or will ever care about your dream as much as you do, period. Number 2, friends are incredibly relative to where you currently are in your life. When your priorities shift, the vast majority of your friends are going to move on. And you know what? That is completely natural. Number 3, if you listen closely to the conversations around you, you'll notice people usually talk at each other. Like neither person is actually listening, they're literally just waiting for the other person to stop so they can start talking again. And finally, number 4, if you stay true to yourself and just keep focusing on your path, everyone who ever doubted you will eventually come back around. Seriously, that kid who bullied you, down the road, they're going to be asking you for a job. The person who rejected you will definitely call back once they see where you're headed. It literally always happens that way.
It's often said you're a reflection of the 5 people you spend the most time with. The reality is nobody creates themselves all by themselves. We're all basically mirror images, right? We're sculpted by the reflections we see in the people around us. This is absolutely not a solo game. You are a sculpted reflection of your closest circle. So what does that mean for you? It means you have to proactively work to surround yourself with people you genuinely admire, because over time, you're naturally going to absorb the very traits you admire in them. But of course, there is one group of people we have absolutely zero choice in selecting. You can't change your parents. It's a tough truth to face as you get older, but they just are who they are. At some point, whether they approve or disapprove of your life choices, it simply stops mattering. So the ultimate lesson here, just love them for bringing you into this world and gracefully leave all the rest of that baggage right at the door.
Which brings us to Chapter 3, Lifelong Growth and Habits. Okay, we need to completely debunk a huge misconception about aging right now. The age myth basically tells us that as we get older, we can do less and less. But the reality? It's the exact opposite. You should actually be able to do way more because your potential is actively increasing. Why? Because you've literally had more time on this earth to soak up knowledge. Being great at something isn't about being randomly born with a talent. It's a daily habit of growth that compounds over time.
0. Yeah, 0. That is the actual number of books a lot of people read after they graduate from college. Seriously, if you ask most adults what the last good book they read was, they'll almost always say something like, "Wow, I haven't read a book in a really long time." Do not stunt your own incredible compounding growth by arbitrarily hitting the brakes on your education the second you leave school. As you keep learning and growing, you're going to experience this massive mental shift. You'll move away from fixed beliefs, things like an absolute right and wrong, or this one universal definition of success that we're all spoon-fed as kids. Instead, you start to realize that relative truths are the actual reality. Beliefs aren't fixed. They're totally shaped by whatever you're currently pursuing and whoever you're hanging around. Success to you might mean the exact opposite to someone else, which means you get to and have to define your own success. But quick warning here, with all this freedom comes a catch. Because there's no fixed right or wrong, literally anything can become a vice. A coping mechanism that's just a harmless way to relax on a Sunday for one person could be totally destructive for another. You've got to maintain intense self-awareness about your habits, constantly question why you do what you do, and always remember, there are no mistakes, only lessons.
Finally, we arrive at Chapter 4, the ultimate purpose. You.
Nothing feels as good as something you do from the heart. I really want you to hear that. No amount of money, no fancy title, and absolutely no amount of external validation from other people will ever take the place of what you do out of pure love. If you just follow your heart, the rest of your life will organically fall into place.
On the flip side, if you ignore your heart, you end up doing what's called living by default. Your true potential in life is directly tied to how well you know yourself. The people who absolutely maximize their strengths, they're the ones who end up exactly where they want to be. But the people who avoid the really hard work of looking inward, well, they lose the ability to create their own future. Remember, when you're young, it feels like you have to please the entire world. Trust me, you don't. The only person you actually have to face in the morning mirror is yourself. Do what makes you happy, and you'll see someone you truly love staring right back at you.
So let's wrap this up with one final provocative thought. What's the actual meaning of life? It's just to be you, all the time, in everything you do. Growing up is really just the realization that you are your own creator. You are an evolving masterpiece. You're the sculptor and the sculptor, the painter and the portrait. The canvas is yours, and the paint is wet. So, how are you going to paint yourself today? Thank you so much for exploring these powerful lessons with me in this explainer. Keep learning, keep evolving, and go take action on your own masterpiece today.